A circle is the part of a moving point in a what? On a plane. So when we talk about a circle, we talk about a locus or a part of a moving point on a plane with a constant distance from a fixed point 0 in that plane. Now when we talk about a movement of a circle is very important as a geometric student to come to know about the various parts of a circle and the importance of these various parts. Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you, we're going to teach you the various parts of a circle, the radius, the diameter, the chord of a circle, the segment of a circle, the circumference of a circle, and the various formulas you can use in calculating this. This is going to help you to a very great extent once we start considering circle geometry. So that when we talk about the sector of a circle, we talk about the circumference of a circle, we talk about the diameter of a circle, you won't get missing on the discussion. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to this channel so that you can get a subsequent update of our maths content once they are uploaded. Now let's consider the first part of a circle we're going to consider is the radius. Now what is the radius? The radius of a circle is a line that joins a circle from any point of the circumference to the center. Now once you get a point, from any point of the circle you draw a line to the center. From any part of the circle you draw a line to the center. That line is the what? Is the radius of a circle. Now a radius of a circle is always denoted with that what? With that r. So wherever you see r, you should know that r is what? Is the radius of a circle that is given to you. So when they tell you that a radius have a circle have radius r, that tells you that the distance from the center of that circle to any point on the circumference, all these are the circumference, the part taken by a circle, is called the what? A radius. Now the second point we want to talk about is the diameter of a circle. Now when we talk about the diameter of a circle, the diameter of a circle is the line, we can say is the line AB that joins any 2 points on the circumference of a circle, and they must pass through the center O of the circle. Now this is center O of the circle. If I have a point here A and a point here B, and I want to join these two lines, that line AB that will join these 2 points is called the diameter, as long as it must pass or cut across the center of the circle. So if I draw a line that cuts across this center of the circle to join this point, this line is called the diameter of a circle. Now come to think about this, you come to see that this is the center of a circle. This part from this point to this point is a radius, from this point to this point is a radius. So that means diameter is equal to 2 times the radius of a circle. So that simply tells you that the radius of a circle can be equal to the diameter divided by 2. Take note of this. It used to cause a lot of turbulence to some students when these are involved. So that is that. So we've come to see what the radius of a circle is. We've come to see what the diameter of a circle is. Now somebody will come to tell you about the chord of a circle. Now what is the chord of a circle? Now the chord of a circle is a line that joins any 2 points P or Q on the circumference of a circle. Now it is very different from the diameter of a circle. Now if we have 2 points, P and Q, and we want to join this line, remember the difference between a chord and a diameter is that the chord must not pass through the center of the circle. The line that joins those 2 parts on the circumference must not pass through the center of the circle, but for diameter it must pass through the center O of the circle. So when we draw a point, a line to join these 2 points on the circumference of the circle, this line we draw is called the chord of a circle. This is called the chord of this circle. So it's a line that joins any 2 points P or Q on the circumference of the circle. It can be a line from this point to this point. It can be a line from this point to this point. They are what? They are all the chord of a circle. Now, the diameter we can say is the longest chord of any circle because it cuts across the what? It cuts across the circle through the what? Through the center. So it's the longest chord of any circle. Now, the difference between the diameter and the chord, as I've said earlier on, is that the diameter passes through the center of the circle, O, the center O of the circle, while the chord may not or may pass through the center of the circle. So that does not mean that when a line passes through a center of a circle, it is not a chord. It can also be called a chord. So in real sense, we can say a diameter is also a chord, but a diameter is the longest chord of any circle. Now I want you to take note of that. Now we have what we call the segment of a circle. Now what is a segment of a circle? A segment of a circle comes about when a chord divides a circle into 2 parts. When a chord divides a circle into 2 parts, what you produce is called the segment of that circle. Now come to see this. Let's look at this chord PQ, cutting these 2 circles into 2. We have this part, which is the smaller part, and we have the larger part. So this chord have divided this circle into 2 segments, and we have the minor segment. That's when you hear the minor segment, and the what? And the major segment. This segment is called the major segment because it's the larger part of that what? Of that division. Now take note of this, that a diameter divides the circle into 2 equal parts. The chord divides the circle into unequal parts, and from the division of the chord we have the minor segment and the major segment. But when a diameter divides a circle into 2 equal parts, what we'll have is no longer a segment, but what we'll have will become a semicircle. So that is what we call a semicircle. Now imagine that the longest chord, which is a diameter, cuts this angle into 2 equal parts. This part is half of the circle, while this other part is half of the circle. So this part will be called a semicircle. So when you are dealing with any question and you hear a semicircle, remember that you should have a chord which is the diameter that cuts across the center of the circle to divide that circle into 2 equal parts. Now that is that for the segment of a circle. Now what do we talk about? What do we call the circumference of a circle? The circumference of the circle is the part taken by the circle as it goes round. This is the perimeter, or we call it the perimeter of the circle. So circumference, don't mistake this, because some people mistaking this when the question comes up. It's still the same thing with what? Perimeter of the circle. Now some people will say if a circle have a radius of r and pi of this, find the perimeter of the circle. They invariably wants you to find the circumference of the circle. Circumference of a circle is always equal to 2 pi r, and that's the formula for calculating the circumference of a circle. So whenever they ask you to find the circumference or the perimeter of a circle, don't get confused. They simply want you to calculate the circumference of the circle. So the circumference of a circle is the perimeter of what the circle round as it goes back to the point. So all this part from here back to this point is the circumference of the circle. Now the final thing we are going to look at is the arc of a circle. Now once we conclude telling you all these parts of a circle, then you are perfectly set to go about solving questions on circle theorem or circle geometry. Now what is the arc of a circle? The arc of a circle is the part of the circumference of a circle. When we have just a part of the circumference of a circle, we say that is what? That is an arc of that circle. Now let's consider that. If we have this circle, we have this circle as it is, and we'll have a part of that circle. If we have a part of that circle, this is a circle that have been divided. Now let's look at that circle with center O. Now the circumference, the arc of any circle is a part of the circumference. Now what do we say is an arc? If we have this chord and this chord divide this circle into two equal parts, this part is what is an arc, and this part is also an arc of the circle. So the arc of any circle is a part on the circumference of what? Of that circle. Now come to think about it, the arc of a semicircle is just half of the circle. So any arc that is smaller than the semicircle is either called the minor arc or the major arc. Any arc that is larger than the semicircle is called the major arc, and any arc that is smaller than the semicircle is called a minor arc. Now get to remember that the semicircle divides the angle, the circle, into two equal parts. This whole part is a semicircle. Now if this arc divides this circle into two parts, then we have a minor part and the larger part. So when a semicircle, when an arc is smaller than a semicircle, we call it a what? We call it a minor arc. Take note of that. And when it is larger than a semicircle, from here to this part, we call it a major arc. So when you hear a major arc and you hear of minor arc in circles, come to know that these are arcs that are either greater than a semicircle or they are smaller than a semicircle. In today's video, we've come to see the various parts of a circle, which are the arc, the circumference of a circle, the segment of a circle. We've come to see what the radius of a circle is. We've come to analyze what the circumference of a circle is. We've come up to see what the diameter of a circle is. Get to know more about this, make research on them, and consolidate your knowledge on this. It's going to help you doing when you start solving questions on circle geometry. If you enjoyed this video, these are the various things we'll have to tell you about circle. So in this video, we've discussed what the circle is. We've come to see the various parts of circle. Don't forget to bear this in mind and make sure that you make more research on this topic, as they will truly help you as you solve questions on circle geometry. If you truly appreciate this video, don't forget to share it with your friends, and also subscribe to this channel so that you can get an update of our subsequent videos once they are published. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you watch our subsequent videos.